Picture a quiet room where the only noise is the voice inside your head. It keeps asking, should I stay? Should I leave? What if I fail? What if they laugh? Those questions feel helpful, even smart, yet they wrap around your mind like vines and squeeze out your courage. While your body is sitting in the present, your thoughts are sprinting between yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's guesses. The past yells, you messed up once, you'll mess up again. And the future whispers, play it safe or you'll pay the price. Soon you forget that today is the only place you can make real moves. Overthinking hides its truth behind a fog of possible scenarios. It makes a simple choice, like sending a message or starting a side project, look as dangerous as crossing a canyon on a tightrope. The sad result is that life's best moments drift by while you stare at a screen, scrolling, planning, worrying, and waiting for a green light that never appears. Understand this. The mind is a brilliant servant, but a terrible master. When you let it run untrained, it drags you through endless loops that feel like wisdom but are really fear in a clever disguise. Freedom begins the instant you notice that loop and whisper, I see you. You're just thoughts, not commands. That small act of noticing creates a crack in the cage, and light starts to pour through. In that light, you remember something powerful. The present may be simple, yet it is the only time zone where action can live. Why does the brain cling to overthinking? At its core, it's a deep wish for safety. Your ancient wiring believes that if it can map every threat, compare every outcome, and rehearse every sentence, it can guarantee a smooth ride. Sadly, real life refuses to follow those rehearsals. Plans collapse, people surprise us, and we surprise ourselves. The more we chase the perfect blueprint, the more anxious we grow, because the world keeps moving while we remain stuck on the drafting table. Here is a hard lesson. Clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from moving quicker. Look at athletes, entrepreneurs, or even the child learning to ride a bike. None of them build success by solving every what if ahead of time. They gather just enough info to start, then they adjust. Progress is not a straight line. It's a dance of step test tweak. Overthinkers sit on the side, believing they can master choreography from the seats. When the music changes, they are still memorizing page 1. Meanwhile, the doers are already on step 10, laughing at their first mistakes and turning them into teachable moments. This is not recklessness. It is trust. Trust that you can handle bumps. Trust that failure is feedback. Trust that the mind learns fast on the field and in the stands. The irony is that the safest path is often the one that looks risky. Jumping in, skin in the game, learning by doing. Each small leap teaches a nervous system. I can land, even if I wobble. Confidence is built brick by brick, and every brick is an action, never another overanalysis. So, how do we break the habit? Begin with a rule so simple it almost feels silly. Decide fast, move fast. Give yourself a countdown, maybe 60 seconds, for ordinary choices, and when the timer strikes 0, commit. Hit send, press record, walk through the door. This tiny exercise trains your brain to link thinking with motion instead of rumination. At first, you'll feel a jolt of fear, like stepping into cold water. Stay with it. The chill fades in seconds and is replaced by a surge of energy that whispers, look, you're already swimming. Next, anchor that decision with immediate action. Schedule the meeting. Sign up for the class. Write the opening line of the book right now, before doubt gathers reinforcements. Action is a louder voice. Let it speak before fear clears its throat. Over time, you'll notice a miracle. The more you act, the quieter the inner storm becomes. That is because momentum feeds confidence, and confidence stars worry. Will mistakes happen? Absolutely. But mistakes made in motion carry lessons, while mistakes made in the mind teach nothing at all. If a choice turns sour, you will adapt. Humans always have. The danger was never in failing. It was in freezing. Remember, life only rewards tickets that get scanned at the gate, not the ones left in the pocket just in case. Each quick decision plants a flag in the present moment and claims a little territory back from anxiety's kingdom. String those flags together and you build a road that leads straight out of the prison of overthinking and into the wide country of possibility. The next lever is self-talk. Overthinking blossoms in a garden of harsh sentences. I never get it right. I'm not ready. One mistake, and it's over. If those lines played through a loudspeaker, you would rush to switch the station. Yet many of us stream that playlist on repeat inside our heads. Swap the soundtrack. Speak to yourself the way you would coach a friend. Firm, honest, but kind. Instead of, don't blow this interview, try. Show them your curiosity and let the chips fall. Language is not decoration. It is architecture. Words carve grooves in the brain. Negative grooves become ruts that trap energy, while empowering grooves become tracks that guide it forward. Begin each morning with a single supportive statement, written or spoken aloud. It might feel awkward. Do it anyway. Then reinforce it through tiny wins. Make your bed. Drink a glass of water. Answer one difficult email. Each micro victory is proof that you steer the ship, not the swirling doubts. Over time, your inner narrator will shift from a critic to a collaborator, from a jailer to a gentle guard who reminds you of your strength. This mental rescript does not erase fear, but it does shrink fear to a size you can carry instead of a weight that crushes you. When fresh worries appear, and they will, acknowledge them, thank them for trying to keep you safe, and walk on. That polite dismissal shows a mind that can speak, but it no longer gets a final vote. Now let's turn to a tool that looks simple, yet works like magic. Deliberate presence. Presence is not a luxury reserved for monks. It is a muscle anyone can train. Set a timer for 5 minutes. During those minutes, notice 3 things you see, 3 you hear, 3 you feel on the skin. Name them without judgment. Traffic hum, coffee scent, shirt against my arm. The goal is not enlightenment. It is relocation. From the foggy castle of imagined futures back to the solid ground under your feet. Do this drill before big decisions or whenever your thoughts spin. Each round reminds the nervous system, we are here, we are safe. That calm perch lets you choose a next step instead of reacting from panic. Some people argue they are too busy for presence, but overthinking already steals huge chunks of the day. Reclaiming 5 minutes is an upgrade, not a cost. As presence grows, you start spotting the gap between a thought and the reflex to follow it. In that gap lives freedom. You can watch an anxious idea drift by like a cloud and decide, not useful, let it pass. The more clouds you let pass, the clearer the mental sky becomes. And clear skies make navigation easy. Remember, storms may gather again tomorrow, yet you will meet them with tools instead of trembling. Presence does not promise a life without turbulence. It teaches you to fly the plane. Finally, translate all this insight into a daily action ritual so small that skipping it feels stranger than completing it. Choose one anchor activity, perhaps writing 2 sentences in a journal, recording a 60-second voice note, or taking a brisk 10-minute walk, and pair it with a fixed cue like your morning coffee. The rule is simple. Cue appears, ritual begins, no debate allowed. This trains the brain that movement is non-negotiable, dissolving the should I, shouldn't I chatter before it starts. As weeks stack up, the ritual becomes automatic, freeing bandwidth for bigger leaps. Soon the question is no longer, will I act, but which bold step comes next? Momentum compounds. The project draft grows, feedback rolls in, confidence inflates like a sail, and the wind of progress carries you farther than any thought experiment ever could. And if a day slips by and you miss the ritual, because life happens, catch it the very next morning. Quick recovery is more important than perfect streaks. Each reset proves to your subconscious that setbacks are bumps, not dead ends, and that proof weakens the old narrative of one mistake ruins everything. Over months, a habit stacks with a mindset shift you practiced. Rapid decisions, kinder self-talk, solid presence. Together, they form a personal operating system where overthinking is the crash screen, not the default mode. The screen may still flash when stakes rise, yet now you know the keyboard shortcut out of freeze. You press it, breathe, and step back into motion. This is how ordinary people build extraordinary lives. Not by deleting every fear, but by coding faster recovery loops. Build those loops and even the biggest dreams feel less like cliffs and more like gentle hills you can climb one steady stride at a time. And here's the secret bonus. The more you climb, the better the view, and the better the view, the easier it is to remember why you started. Purpose rushes back like fresh oxygen, clearing every leftover cobweb of hesitation. From that height, you no longer beg certainty to hold your hand. You wave at it from the summit and shout, "Catch up if you can!" In short, the ritual is a fuse, action is a spark, and momentum is a fire that burns a habit of overthinking down to cool, harmless ash. Let's zoom out for a moment and talk about identity. Actions shape results, but identity shapes actions. If you secretly label yourself the worrier, then every step forward will feel like a costume you must rip off the second doubts arise. Flip that script. Begin calling yourself the mover, the starter, the finisher. This is not lying to yourself. It is casting a vote for the person you intend to become. Each quick decision, each small ritual, each present breath is another ballot in that election. Neuroscience backs this up. Repeating a behavior wires new neural paths, and soon the brain predicts we act, not we hesitate. Think of identity as the operating system beneath your apps. Change the OS and every program runs smoother. A practical way to update it is through tiny declarations. When asked, "What are you up to these days?" answer, "I'm building a habit of rapid action," or "I'm learning to trust fast decisions." Speak it aloud. Hearing the words anchors them in reality. Pair those statements with visual evidence. Post-it notes of completed tasks, calendar blocks labeled done, voice memos of ideas you actually launched. Evidence tells the subconscious, this is not a daydream, it is data. Over weeks, the inner picture resets. Worry still knocks, but the new identity answers the door and says, "Thanks, but we don't live that way anymore." When identity levels up, discipline feels less like pushing a boulder uphill and more like steering a bike you already know how to ride. Another pillar of escape is community. Overthinking thrives in isolation because silence lets fears echo louder. Share your goals with a trusted circle. Friends, mentors, an online group focus on progress. Do not pick people who only cheer. Pick those who cheer and challenge. Tell them, "I will draft my resume by Friday," or "I will upload my first podcast episode next Wednesday." A shared deadline adds healthy tension that melts paralysis. Better yet, celebrate progress together. A 5-minute voice call where each person lists one action taken and one lesson learned can reset mindsets faster than hours of solo rumination. Community also offers mirrors. When you doubt your skill, others reflect strengths you overlook. They remind you, "You solved a bigger mess last month," or "Your rough draft already helped me." That external feedback shrinks the gap between your fearful story and objective reality. Just as important, borrow courage from their examples. Watching a peer hit publish on an imperfect article proves survival is possible. Their leap becomes social proof that chips away at your own excuses. Over time, the group's culture shifts from analysis paralysis to action bias. When someone says, "I'm stuck deciding," the default reply becomes, "Pick one by dinner and report back." That gentle nudge short-circuits endless loops. Remember, you don't need a stadium. 2 or 3 focused allies can spark more momentum than 1,000 passive followers. Guard this circle, feed it, and let its collective energy carry you across moments when your solo willpower dips. Finally, we must tackle the subtle fuel behind many spirals. Perfectionism. Perfection looks noble on the surface. It whispers, do it flawlessly or not at all. But beneath the shiny mask hides the same old fear dressed in fancier clothes. Perfection says wait for total mastery, perfect timing, unanimous approval. Listen long enough and you will wait forever. The cure is what designers call rapid iteration. Ship a rough version, learn, refine, repeat. Treat every project like software with endless updates, not a marble statue that must emerge finished. Ask, what is the smallest test I can run today? Instead of writing a 300-page novel in secret, publish a 300-word scene on a blog and invite feedback. Instead of mapping a business plan for months, craft a 1-page offer and show it to 10 potential customers by sunset. Data from the real world teaches faster and hurts less than nightmares in your head. Each quick release is a vote for learning mode over judgment mode. And here's the twist. Audiences, bosses, and partners respond better to work that evolves publicly than to a silent masterpiece that arrives late because they feel involved in the journey. Their input becomes a co-author, and co-authored work gains built-in fans. Embrace the mess of version 0.1. It signals courage and invites collaboration. When your inner critic screams, "This is embarrassing," answer, "Exactly, embarrassment is step one of mastery." Laugh at the blush, press upload, and notice that the sky does not fall. Instead, dopamine from completion beats cortisol from worry, and soon the brain starts chasing that healthier high. Over weeks, perfectionism loses its grip because the evidence shows that good enough today outperforms perfect someday. Keep stacking these proofs until the thought of endless polishing feels heavier than the light risk of release. And if a launch truly flops, gather the lesson, thank the failure, and roll the update. Resilience is simply momentum wearing armor. Build that armor one release at a time, and soon your skin grows thicker than your doubts. What once felt like thin glass between you and shame now feels like tempered steel between you and surrender. Build that armor one experiment, one draft, one honest attempt at a time, and perfectionism shrinks from a roaring dragon into a house cat that naps in a corner while you get real work done. We have traveled a long arc, from the cramped cell of relentless rumination to the wide plains of deliberate motion. You have met the key allies on this road. Speedy decisions, immediate action, kinder self-talk, deliberate presence, daily rituals, upgraded identity, a tribe that sparks courage, and a playful stance toward perfection. None of these tools ask you to erase fear or flip a magical switch. They ask only that you practice, that you vote with tiny deeds for the life you want rather than the worries you don't. Remember, overthinking is not a character flaw. It is a habit, and habits yield to repetition. Each morning you choose whether to rehearse paralysis or rehearse progress. Choose progress. Even today's step is the size of a single grain of sand. Sand piles become deserts. Small acts become legacies. Carry this thought as you close the page. The clock is running one way, never back. Yesterday is sealed. Tomorrow is unwritten. And today is the blank line where your pen still is ink. Use that ink. Send the message. Apply for the role. Lace the shoes. Hit record. Press publish. Let action be the language in which you speak gratitude for the gift of being alive right now. When the mind tries to drag you into stale reruns or scary previews, smile and reply, "Thanks for sharing, but the feature film is happening here in the present, and I have a starring role." Then step onto the stage before the echo can answer. Do this again tomorrow and the next day, and every day that the sun greets you. In time, you will look back and see a trail of bold footprints where an overthinker once stood still. That sight will remind you of the simplest, strongest truth of all. Life rewards the ones who move. So breathe, decide, and move. Your future is waiting for your footsteps, not your second guesses.